We are back once again here on the Cowboys Report. The first injury report has dropped for the Dallas Cowboys, and although it's not all bad news, there are some bad things on this list that will break down what it means and just the details on it. The 6 players who were more than limited. I'm not bothering with Marshawn Young, who is full with a calf. Like, who cares? Or the rest guys will get to later on. Good news first. Jake Ferguson, limited with the knee. That bodes well for him playing. John Stevens Jr., limited with a hamstring. Bodes well for him. Malik, shoulder but limited. Shouldn't be a big deal. 3 notable players who did not participate at Wednesday's practice. We'll break down how concerning these are. Trevon Diggs has an apparent foot injury. CeeDee Lamb has an ankle injury. And Mazi Smith left practice early with a tightened back, is what Todd Archer called it. Those might be minor. Maybe they all still play in week 1 or week 3. We don't panic about it. But you don't like seeing them on the injury report. Now, this is the 3rd Cowboys Report video of the day. So make sure you guys are subscribed for even more. We'll be live again on Thursday. We'll have more information on that once we get to it on Thursday. Once the second report comes out, probably know more about their actual statuses. But this is worth monitoring. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Let's begin with Mazi Smith, since that's the one we kind of knew about was going to end up happening here. He left practice early during the open portion of media, and then was listed, or I should say open portion for media, then was listed as a DMP with the back issue. For a team that is already battling defensive line problems because of bad play, this is concerning. Seems like there's just back was tight for him, and it might have been tight during the game even at one point. Not great. You don't have the players up front to make things work right now, even with Mazi Smith. I don't think Mazi's been great through 2 games. He was your best run stopper in week 2. That doesn't mean anything, but the alternatives probably actually are worse. Oso Odighizuwa has to play a lot better. Carlos Watkins was signed to the active roster today. We'll talk about Jordan Phillips and his public comments at the end of today's show. Do not miss that, by the way. I don't know if more Linval Joseph snaps is a good idea with what we've seen so far. And if he can't go, you're going to call up Phil Hoskins? You guys don't know who that is because you have lives. You better hope he's okay, because you are already too dangerously not good up front. It continues to be not good up front, or gets worse. What is Derrick Henry going to do on Sunday? So what is your concern level over the run defense right now? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. We'll make it the pinned comment on today's show. So if that ad happens to come here on the YouTube side of things, that's just fine. Take advantage of it. Head down there, 1 to 10. I think it should be a high number, by the way. This has not been a very good front so far. Over to Jake Ferguson right now. And this seems to be very positive. Limited on Wednesday. Unless you got hurt during practice, normally means you're able to play as we get closer to actual game day. Cowboys sat him in week 1. I do think that was the right decision. I do think making the call to give Jake Ferguson that week off, even though you lost the game and you certainly missed him on offense, I don't think it was worth the risk, not having him out there and making things even worse. So limited on Wednesday with that grade 1 MCL sprain, the bone bruise. We'll see if he's limited on the actual field, if it impacts him, but I do think you'll be okay here. I would be surprised at this point if you weren't able to have Jake Ferguson out there in week 3, which you need. I don't think your offense is as good without him. He's not going to be, I don't think, a 1,000-yard tight end. Very few of those guys are. I think he should be your second leading target getter. Like, get him over the middle, push that ball downfield. I think he'll also help you in your run blocking, and maybe some chipping for your pass blocking as well. Well, a very curious decision to come, potentially, between John Stevens and Brevin Spanford, which we'll get to later on in today's show. Since Stevens should be back, and I doubt they're going to scratch Schoonmaker, you're not going to carry 4 tight ends. Who gets scratched? Decisions to come as we move forward. So prediction time. Will Jake Ferguson play this week? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Over to the 2 surprises that were not good. CeeDee Lamb, a surprise, did not participate with an ankle injury. Early reports from some major media outlets like Tom Pelissero, nothing major for CeeDee Lamb. Now, this is surprising. He played 58 snaps on Sunday. You would assume the injury happened during the game, whether it's just a true I rolled my ankle, it's a Wednesday, I'm not going to practice, or worse, something happened during practice. Normally it's Thursday that are the injury curses there. So this is going to be one worth monitoring. I'll say in general, Wednesday injuries or surprise injuries on Wednesday don't scare me that much. If it is a DNP on Wednesday and a DNP on Thursday, then I get worried. Then I go, okay, something's up. If you go with the normal limit, DNP Wednesday, limited Thursday or full Thursday and a full Friday, you're fine. You're playing. I'm not worried about you at all. The only thing we're missing from this, this happens every year to CeeDee Lamb, by the way, there's always a surprise injury list. All we're missing is Glenn McCarthy saying, his GPS numbers were high. They were never actually high. It's just that he got a bump and a bruise, and they're ultra cautious there because it's September. Also, if it is an injury, maybe you should have paid him to help avoid the risk of that happening. Now, at least paid him sooner, I should say. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big event, and you got to check out their new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. It makes getting those tickets to your favorite team play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The Game Time guarantee is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. You can also check out their seat view, get kind of a panoramic live photo-esque view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you actually know what your view is going to look like and you're not going to get tricked or anything. So download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. So what time is it? It's Game Time. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Now, as we sit here filming this on Wednesday, not the same level of comments of, minor for CeeDee Lamb. I don't want to read too much into that, but it is worth acknowledging that Diggs did not practice today with an apparent foot injury. It's only Wednesday. So if he's out there Thursday, again, I'm not going to be concerned. If he isn't out there Thursday, that's when the alarm bells go off. And Diggs and Lamb, as two of the only guys to get paid on this team in their second contracts, it's those two guys. Tank Lawrence is into one. Zach, under contract long term, I should say, because Zach Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dak in that conversation, Terrence Steele now. You need him out there. You don't have Daron Bland. Good update on him coming up in a little bit, by the way. But you need Trevon Diggs out there. Because the Ravens' passing game is not incredibly dynamic. Zay Flowers is a good football player. He's kind of a tricky matchup, by the way, for you. But if for some reason, knock on wood, you don't have Trevon Diggs, you don't have Daron Bland, a cornerback room of Kalen Carson and Andrew Booth terrifies me. I don't like that. Now, I think what you would do is you're probably going to run a ton of base personnel, which we'll talk about on tomorrow's show anyway. Since Ravens love two tight ends, you're probably not in nickel that much, and maybe that means more Jordan Lewis on the outside than it is Kalen Carson. But the Diggs and Lamb one and Mazi are the ones to monitor. If they are not out there Thursday, it's not where you want to be there. Now, John Stevens Jr. was upgraded to limited after missing the first weeks with a hamstring injury. So again, trending in the right direction for John Stevens Jr. He brings a different type of tight end behind Jake Ferguson than Luke Schoonmaker and Brevin Spann-Ford. He's a bit more of that move tight end, that athletic tight end. He's listed at 6'5", 221. I think he's added a little bit more mass than that. But he was kind of a wide receiver at Louisiana. He wasn't really just a pure tight end. Maybe you can do some fun red zone stuff. You can do some more vertical stuff with him than what you, I think, have ever felt comfortable doing with Luke Schoonmaker and Brevin Spann-Ford. So we'll keep an eye on that. I will say, as we sit here filming, sometimes when there's breaking news, you get updates in the moment. Jane Slater says Diggs should also be okay. That would make everyone feel a lot better. We'll know more on Thursday. Quick note here on Malik Hooker, limited with a shoulder injury. He's popped up in the injury report several times before. Unless the shoulder got hurt during practice, that means he's going to play. we'll know more on that on Thursday in the end, so I'm not too worried there about Malik Hooker either. Couple veteran rest days plus DeMarcus Lawrence, who I forgot to put on the graphic. Brandon Cooks, Eric Kendricks, Jordan Lewis, Zach Martin, your old dudes. They were limited on Wednesday. Of note, they did put knee for Zach Martin with a note on it on top of that. He had the knee issue during the game. If it wasn't for the rest day, he would have practiced. So they had to put knee on there to cooperate with the rules, but it wasn't because he was limited. It was just a normal rest day, so he's going to be just fine. All right, Daron Bland updates here. He was back at practice getting work on the resistance cords. That is a good sign. Now, he can't return to practice yet. He had to wait till he get to that 4-week time frame there with the return to practice window. But him being out there getting some rehab stuff in does bode well for the Cowboys' theory that it is going to be a shorter-term injury than maybe a longer-term injury than what the downside of that foot fracture was. So will Daron Bland make it back before the bye? A for after the bye, and B for before it. One more note. Jordan Phillips. Nick Harris, amongst the Cowboys media, talking to him after today's practice, asked, hey, what happened to the wrist? Why are you on IR? I don't know, Phillips said. That's above my pay grade. You have to ask people making the decisions. Let me translate. The Cowboys, by the way, have put this out as wrist sprain. We're being cautious. If Jordan Phillips had played well through 2 games, he would not be on IR right now. But he's been bad. And the Cowboys said, nope, we'll put you on IR. The alternative was they could have cut you. Well, they gave you more time to allegedly get into better shape, by the way. Be careful, Jordan, because this is how Dontari Poe got cut. Because he kind of mouthed off a little bit, and Jerry went on the radio and called him fat, and then a few days later he was cut. So be careful, because you haven't played well enough to be publicly complaining about your lack of playing time. Come on, buddy. Now, I'm glad he's mad at the same time. I'm glad he's mad, because that means he cares. So get healthy, or healthy if you need to, and let's get some better tape on there.